The skies of Varelia were no longer peaceful. Bright flashes lit up the royal city, and deep rumbles shook the palace walls. The sound of alarms filled the air. Soldiers rushed through the gardens, people shouted, lights blinked, and the ground trembled under heavy blasts. Inside the palace, a young alien girl with silver eyes and soft blue skin was being pulled away by her guards. Her name was Princess Nira, only 10 years old. She didn't understand everything, but she knew something was very wrong. "Where's my father?" she asked in a trembling voice. One of the guards replied, "The king is holding the enemy back. We must get you to safety, princess." She looked back one last time at the shining towers of her home. Before the doors closed, she didn't know it yet, but this would be the last time she saw them for many years. The escape vehicle sped through the thick forests that bordered the city. Nira sat quietly, her heart pounding. Her world had changed in just a few hours. Her parents, her people, her home, everything was at risk. Suddenly, a loud explosion struck the side of the ship. The craft tilted and crashed into the trees below. Smoke filled the air. The guards yelled commands, trying to protect Nira as enemy drones circled overhead. "Run, princess," one of them shouted. "Hide." Nira obeyed, running through the thick forest, her soft shoes sliding on leaves and roots behind her. The guards held off the attackers. She didn't stop running until she reached a small hill and collapsed, breathing hard. Scared and alone, as Nira hid behind a bush, she heard a strange sound from above, like a whistle falling from the sky. She looked up and saw a small round pod spinning through the air. It hit the ground with a soft crash not far from her and slid into the trees, curious and cautious. She crawled closer. The pod door opened slowly. Steam poured out. Inside, there was a boy. He looked about her age, maybe a little older. His skin was light brown, and his dark hair was messy. His eyes were wide with confusion. He stepped out, coughing. Where am I?" he asked softly. Nira stared at him, frozen. She had never seen a human before. Humans were stories told in books and old species from far away. The boy noticed her and stepped back. "Who are you?" he asked. "I'm Nira," she replied, her voice shaky. "Who are you?" I'm Tom. I think I came from Earth, but I don't remember much." He looked around. "I was in a pod. It launched years ago, I think. Then I woke up here." They both stood there, unsure of what to say next. Suddenly, the distant whirring of drones returned. Enemy scouts were nearby again. Nira's face turned pale. "They're coming." Tom didn't know what was happening, but he could see the fear in her eyes. "We have to hide," he said. He took her hand and pulled her toward a thick patch of trees. They crawled under large roots and bushes, covering themselves with leaves. The drones passed by without noticing. When it was quiet again, Tom looked at her. "Are you okay?" Nira nodded slowly. "Why did you help me?" Tom shrugged. "You looked like you needed it. My grandpa used to say, if you see someone in trouble, help first. Ask later." They stayed hidden for hours. Tom used parts from his pod to make a small device that tracked motion. He also used his old emergency kit to build a tiny heater and filter water from nearby plants. Nira was surprised. "You know how to do all this, kind of," Tom said, smiling a little. "I used to watch survival videos back on Earth. I thought they were just for fun." She smiled back. It was the first smile she had since the attack. Over the next day, the two of them stayed hidden. Tom built a shelter from large leaves and branches. He even made a little alarm using a string and empty shell to warn if anyone came close. At night, Nira told him stories about the stars, her family, and her planet. Tom told her about Earth, about animals like cats and birds and things called chocolate bars. They laughed, shared food from Tom's emergency pack, and started to feel like friends even though they came from completely different worlds. On the third day, Nira's royal guards finally found her. They came quietly through the woods, calling her name. She ran to them, tears in her eyes. "Princess Nira," they cried. "Thank the stars, you are safe." Tom stayed behind, watching from the trees. Nira turned to look at him. She ran back. and hugged him tightly. "Come with us," she said. Tom shook his head. "I don't think I can. I don't know if your people will trust me. Maybe it's better if I stay hidden a little longer." She looked sad but nodded. "Will I ever see you again?" Tom smiled. "I hope so." Before she left, she gave him a small charm from Harista's shining star-shaped crystal. "This is for you," she said. "Don't forget me." "I won't," he said quietly, and just like that, she was gone, carried away in a royal shuttle. Back to her people. Tom stayed in the forest, watching the sky, not knowing that this moment would change both of their lives forever. Many years had passed since that day in the Varelian forest. The galaxy had changed. Peace had returned to Varelia, and the royal family had rebuilt their kingdom. But far away, on a quiet space station near Earth, the human boy, named Tom, had grown up far from the spotlight. Now 23. Tom worked as a maintenance technician on Axis 12, one of Earth's orbiting trade stations. It wasn't a grand job, but it was steady. He spent his days checking wires, fixing lights, and repairing old machines in the station's lower levels. Most people didn't notice him, but Tom liked it that way. He didn't remember much of his early life. Only small things came to him, sometimes images of trees, silver eyes, and a soft voice calling his name. He thought they were dreams. He never guessed they were memories. In his small room, Tom kept a box of things he didn't understand. Inside was a shining star-shaped charm, smooth and glowing faintly in the dark. He didn't know where he got it, but he never let it go. Sometimes at night, he held it and felt calm, even when everything else felt strange. One evening, Tom sat in the station's observation dome, watching the stars. He liked this quiet place. Few others came here. He often drew pictures in a small notebook, sketches of strange forests, tall towers, and the face of a girl with silver eyes. He didn't know her name. He didn't know why he drew her. He only knew she felt real. His friend Mara, another worker on the station, passed by and saw his notebook. "You still drawing that same girl?" she asked with a smile. Tom nodded. "I don't know why, but I feel like I've met her before. Maybe she's a dream girl," Mara joked, "or someone from your past." Tom gave a quiet laugh. Maybe. Back on Varelia, Princess Nira was no longer a child, now a strong and wise leader. She served beside her mother, helping run the kingdom. She had trained in diplomacy, science, and history. Many called her the shining voice of Varelia. But even with all her titles and duties, she never forgot the boy who once saved her. She kept the records of that day hidden in a private file. The humans had never found out that one of their own had helped save a Varelian princess. Nira had searched many times, but no records matched the boy's name or face still. Every night she looked at the stars and wondered, "Where are you, Tom?" Then came news that changed everything. The Earth Federation had invited leaders from all peaceful alien nations to a great interstellar summit, a historic event where humans and aliens would meet face to face. The Varelian royal family was invited, and Nira was chosen to represent them. She accepted without hesitation. For the first time in her life, she would visit Earth's skies. And deep in her heart, she hoped she might finally find the boy from her past. When the summit week arrived, Axis 12 was brighter than ever. Flags of many alien worlds floated in the air. Workers decorated halls with lights and welcome signs. The station, normally quiet, buzzed with activity. Tom, like always, was given simple duties: check air filters, clean fuel pipes, and inspect the docking panels. He didn't mind. He liked staying in the background. But when the Varelian ships arrived, something inside him stirred. From the window, he saw them land, shimmering silver ships with curved wings and glowing symbols. Then the royal group stepped out, dressed in beautiful robes. Their leader stood tall in front, her eyes scanning the station. Tom's breath caught. She had silver eyes. Princess Nira walked with quiet power. Her gown flowed like starlight, and the Varelian crest glowed at her shoulder. Round her, humans stared in awe. But she didn't look at them. She was searching. Not for a leader. Not for a diplomat. She was looking for him. She didn't know where or how. She just hoped maybe Just maybe fate would guide them together again. Later that day, a small problem was reported near the docking bay of the Varelian ship. Nothing serious, just a flickering control light. But the station needed it fixed. Tom was sent to check it. He arrived with his tool kit, humming quietly. As he knelt to open the panel, he heard footsteps behind him. He stood up, wiping his hands, and came face to face with Princess Nira. For a moment, time stopped. Tom's eyes met hers. Her silver eyes, the same as the ones in his dreams. Something inside him whispered, "I've seen her before." Nira felt it too. Her heart jumped. She didn't speak, but her eyes held questions. Tom nodded politely. "Just fixing a small issue," he said, trying to stay calm. She nodded slowly. "Thank you." She walked past him, but glanced back once. And Tom stood there. Long after she was gone, feeling like his world had just shifted. That night, Nira couldn't sleep. She returned to her private suite and opened her old files. She looked at the image of the boy young, with wide eyes and messy hair. Then she searched the station records. She found Tom. No last name, no parents listed. Found as a child near an old pod, raised in a space orphanage, then trained as a station worker. Her hands trembled. It was him. The next morning, Axis 12 looked more alive than ever. Music played in the air. Human and alien workers decorated the halls with glowing banners, and peaceful conversations echoed from all corners of the station. The great interstellar summit had officially begun. Princess Nira stood at the center of the Varelian delegation. She wore a deep blue robe with shining threads that moved like flowing water. A soft silver crown circled her head, and the Varelian star badge rested over her heart. The other alien leaders admired her calm confidence and kind voice. But inside, Nira's thoughts were not on politics. They were on Tom. She had seen him the day before. Older now, and no longer the boy she remembered, but his eyes were the same. That quiet focus, that spark of courage. She knew it had to be him, but she needed to be sure. Tom continued his work like always. He didn't want attention, while diplomats gave speeches. Toward the station and met important leaders, Tom stayed. In the background, he worked in the power rooms, hallways, and storage bays, places where few guests ever visited. But his mind was not calm. He kept remembering the moment he saw the Varelian princess. Her silver eyes, the way she had looked at him, something about her stayed with him. He dreamed about forests again that night, about hiding, about holding someone's hand. He didn't know why the memories came now. They had never felt so clear. Later that day, Tom was assigned to guide a small Varelian group through the station's older tunnels. These tunnels were below the public floors once used for cargo, now mostly empty. Since he had worked there for years, Tom knew every turn and shortcut. When the Varelian group arrived, he was surprised to see that Princess Nira was with them. "I asked for this tour personally," she said calmly, her voice soft but strong. Tom nodded. "Of course." "Princess, this way." They walked through the long hallway, lights flickering above them. The others walked ahead, but Nira stayed beside Tom. "These tunnels are quiet," she said. Tom smiled. "Not many people come here anymore. Do you come here often?" He nodded. "Almost every day." As they walked, they reached a wall where old markings were still visible, drawings made long ago. One mark stood out, a small, human-sized handprint beside a scratched star. Nira stopped and touched it. "This is yours," she whispered. Tom looked confused. "How do you know?" Nira looked into his eyes. "Because I was there." Tom didn't understand. He looked at her with questions in his eyes. But Nira didn't explain yet. Not here. Not in front of others. She stepped back and smiled. "Thank you for the tour." Tom nodded slowly. "Anytime." As she walked away, he stared at the handprint on the wall. His chest felt tight. Something inside him was waking up. That evening, Nira sat in her private room and opened the secret file again. She watched the short video from long ago, blurry, but clear enough to see a small boy helping a scared alien girl. He gave her food. He helped her climb. He laughed with her. She watched the boy's face carefully. Then she opened the security video from the docking bay the day before. Tom, standing quietly, fixing the panel. Same eyes, same smile. It was him. Without doubt, she closed the screen and stood quietly. I found you, she whispered. The next day, she asked for one more private tour, this time with only Tom as her guide. The request surprised the station manager, but it was allowed. Tom arrived on time, dressed neatly, though his heart was nervous. He didn't know why she wanted to see him again. They walked again through the quiet halls. This time, Nira said little. Finally, she asked, "Do you believe in forgotten memories?" Tom blinked. I'm not sure. I think I've forgotten a lot. She stopped and looked at him. Do you remember a forest, a small glowing charm, a girl with silver eyes? Tom's heart skipped. I think I dreamed about it, he said, but it always felt so real. She slowly opened her hand. In her palm was a small silver bracelet paired to the charm Tom kept with him. His eyes widened. I have the other one, he whispered. I've had it since I was a kid. Nira smiled, her eyes shining with emotion. You saved me, Tom, all those years ago. You gave me shelter. You helped me escape. Without you, I wouldn't be here. Tom stared at her, stunned. I didn't know, he said quietly. I always thought it was just a dream. It wasn't, Nira said. It was real. You were my protector when I had no one else. For a long moment, they said nothing. Then Tom pulled the charm from his pocket and held it beside her bracelet. The two pieces clicked together perfectly, forming a complete star. The symbol glowed softly. Nira's voice trembled with feeling. I searched for you for years. Now I've finally found you. Tom looked at her, his voice quiet. I didn't think I mattered that much, she smiled. You matter more than you know. After the quiet meeting in the tunnels, Princess Nira could not stop thinking about Tom. She knew she had found the boy who saved her many years ago, but she also knew the truth was still hidden, buried deep in his mind. She wanted to help him remember. The next morning, Nira returned to the station's older quarters, this time asking Tom to be her guide again. He agreed, feeling nervous but curious. The air was cooler underground, and the lights cast soft shadows on the walls. As they walked side by side, Nira spoke gently. Tom, do you remember anything from your childhood? Anything strange or unusual? Tom thought hard. Sometimes. I see images in my dreams. A forest with tall trees. A girl with silver eyes. A small star-shaped charm. Nira nodded slowly. That charm is very important. It connected us then. And it still does. She stopped by a large metal door, worn with scratches. I want to show you something. With a touch, the door hissed open. Inside was a small room filled with old equipment, dusty machines, and faint lights blinking in rhythm. This is where I lived when I was hidden, Nira said softly. A safe place during the attack. Tom looked around, confused. How do you know this place? She smiled sadly. Because you brought me here. Tom's brow furrowed. Memories flickered, running through the dark forest, climbing trees, and hiding from enemies. He remembered a small hand guiding him, gentle but strong. His heart beat faster. Was I really with you? He whispered. Nira nodded. You saved me, and you saved my people. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small, glowing crystal, the same as the charm they shared. This is a symbol of hope for Varelia. Tom held it in his hand. The glow warmed him, and suddenly a flood of images came rushing back. He saw himself as a child, lost and scared. Stumbling into the forest, he saw Nira, trembling but brave, waiting for help. He remembered gathering food, building shelters, and hiding from danger. But more than that, he remembered the feeling of friendship, trust, and hope. Tears filled Tom's eyes. I remember, he said softly. I never knew it was real. Nira placed a hand on his shoulder. It was very real. And it was your courage that kept us alive. Over the next days, Nira stayed close to Tom, helping him remember more memories. They visited quiet rooms on the station, places where old files and videos were stored together. They watched blurry footage of a young boy and a frightened girl surviving in the wild. Tom's heart swelled with pride and wonder. He was part of something much bigger than himself. One evening, Nira invited Tom to the observation dome. They sat beneath the stars, the vast galaxy shining bright above them. Tom, Nira said, you have a gift, not just your courage, but your kindness. You remind me why peace is worth fighting for. Tom smiled, feeling warmth in his chest. I never thought a simple human like me could matter so much, he said. Nira shook her head. You matter more than you realize. You are a bridge between our worlds. As the summit continued, news of Tom's connection to the princess began to spread quietly among the delegates. Some were surprised that a human had played such a vital role in Varelia's survival, but others saw it as a hopeful sign that humans and aliens could work together, helping one another. Tom felt nervous but proud. He had never asked for fame or recognition. He only wanted to help. One day, as Tom repaired a machine near the docking bay, Nira approached him again. We will soon return to Varelia, she said, and I want you to come with me. Tom was surprised. Me? But I'm just a technician here. You are much more, Nira said, smiling. You are a friend, a hero, and I want you to see your place among my people. Tom looked at her, unsure but hopeful. Will you really let me? He asked quietly. Nira nodded. Yes, you saved the princess once. Now, let me help you find your true home. That night, Tom held the glowing star charm and looked at the stars through the dome window. He thought about his strange journey from a lost boy in a pod to a hero known across galaxies. He felt ready for the next step. The day was bright and clear on Axis 12. The great interstellar summit was still in full swing. But Princess Nira had something special planned. She wanted to share a secret one that would change everything. In a quiet, private room on the station, she invited Tom for dinner. It was simple but carefully prepared. Soft lights hung from the ceiling, and a small table was set near a large window looking out into space. Tom arrived, holding the star-shaped charm in his hand. He felt nervous and excited. He didn't know what to expect, but he trusted Nira. They sat down opposite each other. For a moment, neither spoke. They both looked out at the stars. Finally, Nira broke the silence. Tom, do you know why I asked you here? Tom shook his head. No, but I want to know. She smiled gently. Because I want to tell you the truth. Tom looked into her shining silver eyes. What truth? Nira took a deep breath. You saved my life. When I was a child, during the attack on Varelia, you found me alone and scared. You helped me hide. You protected me from danger. Tom's eyes grew wide. I didn't know. I thought it was just a dream. It was real, Nira said. Your courage saved not only me but the future of my people. Tom was silent, letting the words sink in. But why didn't I remember before? Your memories were blocked. To protect you, Nira explained. The trauma and time made it hard to remember. But now, with the charm and your visit here, your mind is opening. Tom looked down at the charm in his hand, glowing softly. I never imagined I could be part of something so big. Nira reached across the table and took his hand gently. You are. And I want you to know that Earth and Varelia are connected. Because of you. After the dinner, Nira showed Tom old recordings from Varelia's archives. The videos were grainy but clear enough to see a young boy helping a frightened girl through the forest. They laughed, shared food, and helped each other escape danger. Tom watched the videos carefully. That's me, he said softly. Nira nodded. And that girl is me. Tears filled Tom's eyes. He never thought his simple actions would mean so much. News of Tom's role in saving the princess spread quietly through the summit. Some humans were surprised, others proud. For Varelians, it was a story of hope and friendship. The other delegates looked at Tom differently now. He was not just a technician. He was a hero. One afternoon, Nira invited Tom to a special meeting with the leaders of the summit. She introduced him as the childhood savior of Varelia. The room was silent, then filled with applause. Tom stood nervously but smiled. He felt proud, yet humble. Nira spoke to the leaders. Tom's bravery reminds us that even the smallest actions can change the course of history. We are stronger together. That evening, Nira and Tom walked through the station's gardens. Soft lights hung from the trees, and the air smelled like fresh flowers. Tom asked. What happens now? Nira looked at him kindly. Now, I want you to come with me back to Varelia. You belong there. With my people. Tom hesitated. I don't know if I'm ready. Nira smiled. You don't have to be perfect. Just yourself. Tom looked up at the stars. I think I want that. I want to find my place. Nira took his hand. Then let's begin a new journey together. As they walked back, Tom felt a new hope. The boy who once drifted alone in space was now part of a bigger family one. That crossed stars and worlds. For the first time in his life, he felt truly at home. The day arrived for the Varelian delegation to return home to their shining planet. The grand ship waited in the docking bay of Axis 12, its silver wings gleaming under the bright station lights. Among the passengers was Tom, no longer just a maintenance worker, but an honored guest. As Tom stepped aboard the ship, he felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The memories of his childhood with Princess Nira flooded his mind. The forests, the danger, and the quiet courage he had never fully understood before. Princess Nira greeted him warmly. Welcome home, Tom. Tom smiled, grateful and still a little amazed. He had never thought his life would take such a turn. The journey to Varelia was calm and smooth. Tom watched through the large windows as the stars slipped past. He saw planets, moons, and glowing nebulae, things he had only read about in books. Nira sat beside him, sharing stories of her world. She told him about the rivers that sparkled like glass, the forests where trees touched the sky, and the peaceful nights under twin moons. Tom listened with wonder. It sounds like a dream. It is, Nira said softly, but it is real. When the ship landed on Varelia, Tom was amazed by the beauty around him. The air smelled fresh. The sky was a soft violet, and the buildings were tall but elegant, made from shining stones that reflected the light. People from all over the kingdom came to welcome their princess and her guests. Children waved flags, and elders bowed in respect. Tom felt shy but happy. A ceremony was held in the great hall of the palace. Nira stood before the crowd and spoke. Today, we honor a hero not born of Varelia, but who saved our future, Tom. The human who showed us the true meaning of courage and kindness. Tom was called to the stage. The hall filled with applause and cheers. He looked out at the crowd and smiled. I never thought I could do anything important. I just helped because it was right. Nira nodded. That is what makes you a true hero. After the ceremony, Tom met many people, scientists, leaders, and children who wanted to hear his stories. He shared tales of Earth, simple things like rain, animals, and games. The Varelians listened with bright eyes and warm smiles. They were curious and kind. Tom felt like he belonged. In the days that followed, Nira introduced Tom to new experiences. He tried Varelian foods, learned their language, and explored the beautiful gardens around the palace. But most of all, Tom found friendship. He laughed, learned, and grew stronger. One evening, under the twin moons, Nira and Tom sat quietly. Do you feel at home now? Nira asked softly. Tom looked at the glowing sky. Yes, more than I ever expected. Nira smiled. Then this is only the beginning. Tom had become more than a hero. He was a symbol of hope between two worlds. His journey had started as a lost boy in the stars, but had brought him to a place where he was loved and valued. The galaxy was wide and full of wonders, and Tom knew that together, humans and Varelians could face anything. A soft breeze moved through the shining trees of Varelia's royal garden. The twin moons hung above like silver lamps, casting calm light over the peaceful land. Everything was quiet, except for the soft sound of footsteps. Tom walked beside Princess Nira on the garden path. He wore simple but elegant Varelian robes now, a mark of respect from the royal family. A small version of the Varelian star badge was pinned near his shoulder, the same symbol that had once hung from the charm he carried as a child. It had been a few weeks since he arrived, but it felt like years of peace had passed through him. I still can't believe this is my life, Tom said softly, looking up at the sky. Nira smiled. Neither can I, but sometimes the stars have their own plans. They stopped at a bench beside a small pool that reflected the moons. Tom sat down slowly, taking in the quiet moment. When I was younger, he said, I used to think I was forgotten. Just a kid lost in space. No family, no story. You have a story. Nira said gently, and now the galaxy knows it. Tom looked down at the water and saw his reflection next to hers. Do you think people will always see me as some kind of hero? Nira tilted her head. Maybe, but I think they'll see you as something even more important to bridge. You're the first human to be part of Varelian history. That means something. The next day, the Council of Varelia gathered for an important announcement. Leaders from every city attended. Even a small group of human diplomats had been invited. Princess Nira stood before the council. Tom sat beside her, unsure of what was about to happen. She raised her voice, calm and clear. My people, today, we look forward, not backward. The galaxy is wide, and peace must be built with more than words. It must be built with trust. She looked at Tom and smiled. That is why I have asked Tom, the human who saved my life, to become Varelia's first ambassador to Earth. Gasps filled the room. Then applause followed. Tom stood slowly, surprised, but touched. I don't know what to say, he began, but I'll do my best. I want to help build something good between your world and mine. In the months that followed, Tom trained with the royal scholars. He learned Varelian law, culture, and even helped design a new space bridge between Earth and Varelia, direct link for sharing ideas, science, and peace. He also worked with engineers to build a memorial on Axis 12, a statue of a human child and a Varelian girl standing side by side, holding a shared star between them. It was called the Spark of Unity. People from both worlds came to see it. Some cried, some smiled, but all were touched. One quiet evening, as stars blinked above, Tom stood again in the garden with Nira. The wind carried the soft sound of music from a nearby festival. You've changed a lot, Nira said, watching him. Tom laughed gently. I think I've just remembered who I really was. You were always that boy who helped someone without asking for anything in return. And you, he said, were always the girl who believed in something bigger. They sat down again, letting the silence wrap around them like a blanket. Do you ever think, Tom asked, about that day in the forest? Nira nodded. All the time. He smiled. I was just trying to help someone. I didn't know it would lead to all this. That's how the greatest journeys begin, Nira replied, with one small, kind step. As the wind stirred the garden leaves, Nira turned to him. Tom, would you like to stay here? Not just as an ambassador or a hero, but as someone who belongs. Tom looked at her, heart full. Yes, I'd like that very much. And so, the boy who once drifted alone in a tiny escape pod grew into a man who helped shape peace across the stars. The princess who once feared for her life became a leader who united worlds together. They started a new story, one of hope, friendship, and quiet bravery. And under the twin moons of Varelia, two old friends began their new beginning.